And so I kept insulting his mom, and I think Annie says like F you and your effing mother effer or something. And it was just like there's no other word that you can use except for all these different variations of the F word.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Mikey, this is my favorite performance so far this year. Seriously, thank you for taking the time.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure speaking with you.
You too, and congrats on the Gotham nomination. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I love this story that Sean Baker was in a theater watching Scream, and then he saw your performance in that movie and knew halfway through that he was going to call your reps and write this role specifically for you. That's fascinating to me because to me they're wildly different characters and performances. I'm genuinely curious, what do you think he saw in Amber that made you perfect for Anora? Well, I mean, what sort of connection do you see there?
I think it just speaks to his creative vision as a director that he was able to watch me in Scream and think that I would ever possibly be able to play Annie. I don't know. I think he just has a specific vision. Has such a great eye for casting that he's able to recognize certain things. But I think there was a certain physicality and an attitude that he liked or wanted, saw Annie having that intrigued him. I don't know. You'd have to ask him, I guess.
I will tell you, I rewatched your Scream last night, and I felt like having watched it through that prism, I was like, okay, I get it. Like it had sort of, I sort of saw what he was going with. I feel like we are hearing just within the past few years in this business a lot about intimacy coordinators, particularly in scenes that involve nudity or sex. And I'd read that you had decided that you didn't need one for this film. And I'm sort of curious, as an actor, what that decision was like for you. What sort of comfort and confidence in Sean, in this production, in the film, and yourself did you need in order to be able to say, you know what, I'm good. I actually don't need an intimacy coordinator here.
I think it's a case by case basis, and you should do whatever is most comfortable for you and for your coworkers. But Mark and I were given that option, and we both decided that we were more comfortable just working with Sean and Sammy Kwan on these scenes. And I'm happy with that decision. I think we were able to film the scenes very efficiently, very quickly, comfortably. It was a positive experience for me. But maybe I'll work with an intimacy coordinator in the future, and I look forward to seeing what that might be like.
For sure. This might be a strange connection, but you have not one, not two, but three amazing scenes in your career set in a living room. You have the finale in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You have the killer reveal in Scream, and obviously the best one, of course, being sort of the home invasion scene in the middle of this film. I was wondering if, just as an actor, if you could compare those three living room experiences. Obviously, wildly different characters, different circumstances, different directors. But was there any sort of commonality between the three at all?
That's funny. I don't think so. I mean, that is definitely quite a coincidence. I mean, I guess I don't think so. I wasn't thinking about that, to be honest.
Fair enough. This is one of those characters that I feel like one is has to be incredibly written. Like it's on everything. Everything that's great about it is on the page. But also, it feels like she also has a lot that's coming from you. Is if I were to rewatch the movie, is there any small detail about Annie, a line, a gesture, a sort of a movement that was something that you're proud that you added to her that maybe wasn't initially on the page?
Oh my gosh. So much, I think, like you said, Sean wrote a wonderful script, but I really took it upon myself to create a fully fledged, detailed, nuanced character, someone who's so different from me. And I think a lot of my research affected her physicality and the way that she moves. I don't know. Some of my favorite improvised lines are ones that I came up with on the fly. Some of my favorite insults. I don't think I can say them on the radio.
It's just us talking. It's fine. I can believe we're not live. Do you have a favorite one? I'd love to know if you have a favorite one. It's just us.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I remember from watching the trailer, there's one where I was on the phone with Toros, or Annie is on the phone with Toros, played by Karan Karagulian. And I realized through improvisation that Karan is very sensitive to anything to do with like your mother or insulting your mother. And so I was like, I think culturally, I mean, obviously it's crude, but culturally there's some significance there. And I was like, oh, good to know that that gets under his skin. I'll use that. And so I kept insulting his mom, and I think Annie says like F you and your effing mother effer or something. And it was just like there's no other word that you can use except for all these different variations of the F word. And so that's her favorite word. She uses it a lot. Yeah.
And she uses it very well. It's like poetry. Seriously, genuinely, it's my favorite performance so far this year. I begged Neon for this interview, and I truly do appreciate it. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. Congratulations on everything.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, good to see you.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.